Manchester United were beaten by Arsenal at Old Trafford 1-0 in the opening game of the season. And I think many Man United fans and I think many neutral fans will agree that Man United were actually the better team. Surprise? Maybe a surprise, but on this channel we will tactically analyze how Manchester United not only outplayed Arsenal in large areas, in large parts of the game, but they had more possession than Arsenal and also looked more threatening than Arsenal. Essentially, Man United were outdone by an individual mistake, a mistake by our goalkeeper. An area of the field where I believe most Manchester United fans agree that we have to upgrade. Individual errors is something that we seriously cannot account for. However, other than that individual mistake, Manchester United actually played well today. There was a clear improvement in the way that we played, an intensity and an aggression that we have not seen last year. Manchester United not only dominated Arsenal in possession, but also in chances created. And you could argue that we were very, very unlucky not to go away from this match with at least a point. While I understand a lot of Man United fans' frustration when watching the game, and you can come to the conclusion that what we saw was similar to what we saw maybe last year, in the fact that we just simply couldn't score. Conceding goals wasn't Man United's main issue last year. It was simply scoring goals. And that is one of the reasons why Manchester United not only bought Cunha, but bought Mbeumo and Sesko. Now, and while we did not score a goal today, yes, I understand that, but the performance was better. We outplayed Arsenal, especially in the middle of the park. And that today is going to be the center of the analysis. Arsenal, a team that plays with a three-man midfield. Many people, many fans thought they were going to overpower us and absolutely dominate Manchester United in the midfield area. So, why didn't that happen? Why didn't that manifest? What did Amorim do? What happened in the midfield area for Manchester United to go away from this game with over 60% possession? So, in today's tactical session, we will break down what exactly happened in the midfield. We will break down how the midfield and the 3-10s operated, how they squeezed that midfield area, how they sucked Arsenal in, and also how they created space for the wider players on the wings. We will also tactically analyze the fluid front three system that Amorim deployed in pre-season, the same system that he deployed against Arsenal, how it benefits Manchester United in terms of keeping possession and overcrowding the midfield. But however, it is a drawback because we're not playing with a central striker, because we're not playing with a target man. It also inhibits us going forward. Some might say a cure and the cause. We will also look at parts of the game where this manifested, where I believe having a fluid front three was a good thing. But as you can see on this screenshot, there's nobody up front. There's no target man, and that was an issue in today's game. We will also tactically analyze the way that we started the game. We started the game with Cunha and Dalot as a wing back, the right wing back. Many would argue that we should have started the game with Amad Diallo. And in my opinion, if we started the game with Amad Diallo as a wing back, he would have offered us more going forward, a much better attacking threat than Diogo Dalot. And in my opinion, Amad can also defend quite well. He's quite aggressive in the tackle. He's a very good presser. And in my opinion, it wouldn't have taken away defensively from Manchester United if we had started Amad. Now, we lost the game due to an individual mistake by our goalkeeper. Some may argue a foul on the goalkeeper. So I'm not saying that starting Amad, we would have won the game. No, what I'm saying is that starting Amad would have given us more opportunities to score. And I believe the manager not starting Ahmad showed that he was nervous, conscious, maybe scared of Arsenal's attacking threat, scared of being overpowered in the midfield, and that didn't actually manifest. Also, I think many fans, especially after listening to the manager's press conference the other day, thought that Sesko would have been in for a chance to start. Unfortunately, he didn't start the game, but he did come on as a substitute. The starting lineup. Now, many of us understand Amorim's system a lot more now. We've seen it in operation for at least a year, and we've also seen it with Sporting. We understand that the manager plays attacking players at wing-back. For this system to truly work, to truly be effective, he has to play essentially wingers, or at least attack-minded players at wing-back. There is no point in setting up with 7 defensive players in your team. I think we are the only club in the Premier League that started with the likes of Mazraoui and Dalot as wing-backs, with a back 3 and a defensive midfield player. For me, that is overkill. You have to be on the offensive. You have to play wingers, or at least offensive players, as wingbacks. One of my main issues with Amorim last season is that he continuously played defensive players in these 2 positions, in the wingback positions. I think he was negative starting Dalot. I believed he should have been braver and started Amad Diallo. I understand why he would start Dalot against Arsenal. He might have been scared, nervous, conscious of Arsenal's attacking threat, and felt that he needed more of a defensive player in this position. Dorgu is already very defensive minded, and he's also quite attack minded. Amad, on the other hand, is attack minded. He would have offered us more in the attack. I believe the manager played Dalot for more defensive cover. The only issue with that is that Arsenal were not very good today. They weren't. And you could argue that we didn't need an extra defensive cover against Arsenal. On many occasions, Dalot would find himself in these positions, but there was no one to cross to. And we will get to that later on in the analysis. Having a right-footed player playing as a right wing-back gives you the benefit of him being able to go on the outside and putting crosses with his right foot. The issue is that we didn't play with a target man. We didn't play with a striker. So whenever Dalot got into these positions, he would not cross the ball in, and we would waste the opportunities. However, when Amad came on in the second half and found himself in these positions, he was able to go one-on-one with the defender. He was able to either go left, go right, and I believe in time, when him and Mbeumo get their relationships better, get the understanding of each other's game, and have better and more cohesion, I think we will see more out of Amad and Mbeumo on the right-hand side. While I'm not going to say starting Amad would have won us the game, because as I said before, we conceded a goal due to an individual mistake. What I'm saying and what I'm reiterating is that playing Amad would have given us more opportunities and a better chance of scoring. While I understand the defensive setup and the nervousness or the cautiousness of our manager, I truly believe going forward we have to play attacking players as wing-backs. We have to go at it. We have to go at the team. We cannot set up defensively and negatively. So while we have assessed the way that we have set up, the formation that we have used, and the players that we have started with, it's now time to have a look at that midfield. What did we do right? How did we dominate Arsenal? How did we get away? How did we leave the pitch with over 60% possession against an Arsenal side that usually dominates us? Against an Arsenal side that plays with 3 in midfield while we only play with 2. We will now take a look at that fluid front 3 system, playing with 3 10s, the benefits of that, and of course, the drawbacks. Now, while on paper, Cunha mostly occupied that striker position, in reality, we basically played with a fluid front three. 3 10s that interchanged often. Cunha, who would often drop back, drop deeper, and the front three that would often interchange fluidly. It is essential as part of Amorim's system that the 2 10s drop into the channels, receive the ball from the right or left centre back who fizzes the ball into them, bounce the ball off one of the midfielders who might then feed our striker and then make a third man run. That is something that we've seen in pre-season. We've seen how we've overloaded the centre of the park in order to create spaces out wide. Not only will the 10s drop deep, they will also, as you know, go wide. They will also run away from the ball in order to create space, as you can see here. So as you can see from this tactical board, Mount and Mbeumo moving away from the ball, driving down the wings as we saw them do, will create more space for us to operate in. But that's not the reason why we dominated Arsenal. It isn't. The reason why Arsenal were not able to overpower us in the midfield, were not able to dominate us in the midfield, was our number 10's ability to drop into the midfield and overcrowd that area. Whether it was Mason Mount, Cunha or Mbeumo, we saw the 3 10s who are not strikers. They don't think or operate like strikers. We saw them come towards the ball, come into the middle of the pitch and overcrowd the middle of the pitch. And as you can see from this clip, what that does when Mount, Mbeumo and Cunha drop deep into the middle of the park, it condenses this space. It means that essentially we could at any time have 4 or 5 players in the middle of the park to find. We have more options on the ball and off the ball in the middle of the park. That, people, that is one of the main reasons why we dominated that game. It's one of the main reasons why Arsenal just couldn't dominate us, overpower us in the midfield. So in a game where we assumed Arsenal's 3-man midfield would absolutely dominate Man United's 2-man midfield, the way that Amorim set up, having a fluid front three, playing 3 10s who actually go towards the ball, who are comfortable with their back to goal, who are comfortable playing in the middle of the park, that overpowered Arsenal. We had more numbers in the middle of the park and therefore we had better possession than they did. We had more territorial advantage than Arsenal and created the better of the chances. Another benefit of playing this way is that Arsenal will eventually have to squeeze in. If you have 3, 4, 5 players all occupying the middle of the pitch, the opposition team will eventually have to squeeze in. You'll have to go and mark your player. And when Arsenal squeeze in, then we'll create space for a wider players, as you can see from this tactical board. The midfielders will come in, try to join the game, link the play, overcrowd that area of the pitch, forcing Arsenal to come in. And what that does is allow our wing backs and of course our 10s then to exploit the areas out wide. And I believe we did that very, very well. There were many occasions, many opportunities that we had where whether it was Shaw, whether it was Euro or even Bruno, who would sometimes drop into defense, we switched the play very well today. And the reason that we are able to switch the play very well and do these diagonals very well today is because we overcrowded the central area, sucked Arsenal into that central area and created more space out wide to operate. In this screenshot, I believe it demonstrates what I've been saying perfectly. As you can see, Cunha is playing as the striker. Look at the midfield. We have at least 3 players in the midfield area and we've sent the ball out wide. What's happened? Arsenal's players have been sucked in here. Not only have they been sucked in here, they've also been sucked in here, creating space out wide for Dorgu to run, for Dorgu to operate. And Dorgu had a really good game, in my opinion. Dorgu and his ability to keep running all game is going to be a major asset for Manchester United going forward. And it was also recorded that Dorgu ran the most distance in the game with 11.1 kilometers covered. He's going to be a major asset for Manchester United with just his ability to keep making off the ball runs. Here is another clip that I found which shows exactly what I've been illustrating in my tactical analysis. We have the 3 players. In fact, we have Sesko here, Cunha here, and Mbeumo, all in a similar area. We have the Arsenal players sucked into this area of the field, and we have Dorgu holding the position out wide, who's in plenty of space. So while we've tactically analysed how playing a fluid front 3 system benefited us, how overcrowding the midfield, having more numbers in the midfield created better opportunities, better passages of play, more possession, better territorial advantage. Those are the positives. However, there are drawbacks with playing a fluid front 3, a front 3 that are number 10s that don't have a striker's instinct. There are drawbacks of playing this system without a striker. The issue that we will inevitably face playing this system is that none of the 10s have a striker's instinct. They don't really want to, or it is not their instinct to occupy this space. And in this example, while the front 3 have dropped deep, there is nobody occupying this space. There is nobody occupying the defenders, and therefore we have to rely on off the ball movements between the channels to create an opportunity. As we overcrowd the midfield area and our 3-10s drop deep, it means we don't have a focal point up front. That's the cure, but it also is the cause of some of our issues. As we then continue to attack and go further up the pitch, we still do not have the focal point that we need. And often, as you can see in many of our attacks, while we will drop deep, our 3-10s will drop deep to provide options, make up numbers, link the play. We're not getting in these positions the way a striker would. And we only really started occupying these positions when Sesko came on the field. So while it benefited us having a fluid front 3 and having 3-10s that know how to play the midfield, who dropped deep, it benefited us. It shored up the midfield and stopped Arsenal from playing their game. It also was one of the reasons why we couldn't really score today. Not the main reason, but just one of the reasons why we didn't score today. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, you could argue, in this middle of the pitch, with one player, Bryan Mbeumo, about to run off the back of the defenders. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. Nobody is in this position. In the next shot, people, we see Bryan Mbeumo bearing down on goal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders. Nobody is here. Nobody is here. And the next player, the player that's closest to him, is Cunha. That's an issue, people. So while it's all good, having your 10s drop deep to shore up the numbers, shore up the midfield, we have to be able to occupy certain positions, certain spaces. And in this game, we didn't really. This is another example of Manchester United not occupying the space that a striker would have occupied. In this screenshot, we have Cunha essentially playing as the striker, Dorgu on the ball and Mbumo playing the right 10 position. There's nobody trying to make a penetrating run here. This is another example of the same thing. We have Cunha, who's dropped into the middle of the park. Mbumo, who's also in the middle of the park. Once again, Cunha is about to make a very, very good run. And Cunha, in my opinion, was the man of the match today. He was absolutely amazing. But he's dropped deep as the striker, and he's about to turn and make a run. Who is occupying this space? And as you can see, further on in the same move, everybody, at this time, Cunha has probably evaded 1 or 2 challenges and he's about to run through on goal. The issue is he is the striker. He should have been the furthest forward, but he's had to drop deep to receive the ball, turn and run past 2 or 3 players. That is the problem, people. That is the issue with today's game. Mason Mount here in the box with the ball at his feet. Cunha is showing for the ball as he should, but who's here? Who is occupying this space? Who is occupying the defenders? So, a system, a formation, a way of playing that we saw in pre-season, the manager tested it. He also executed it against Arsenal. It worked in large parts. It did. But also, with a fluid front three that are essentially number 10s and no striker, we also get a type of football where there isn't a target man. There isn't somebody occupying the defenders, and therefore we have to rely on runs, third man runs and movements, cohesion basically, and understanding of each other's game. We have to rely on these things to score. I've said many times that I like the fact that the manager is showing flexibility, is showing that he can adapt and adopt new systems within his framework, different ways of playing. That's a good thing, because that's one of the things I believe held him back last season. When Sesko came on the field, he was more of a attacking threat. I think we were able to put more crosses in the box when he was on the pitch. I hope to see more crosses because Sesko is tall and he is an aerial threat. We're not going to come up against defenses like Arsenal's every week. Arsenal arguably have the best defense in the Premier League. We're not going to come up against these type of defenders every week. We're also not going to play this system. We will return to a system that plays a lone striker very soon. Perhaps the next game we will see Sesko start. In summary, I believe Manchester United played the better game. They were better on the ball than Arsenal. They were the better attacking threat, or at least had more attacking threat than Arsenal. They created more of the chances than Arsenal. Arsenal didn't actually create any chances in 90 minutes, and their goal was scored by an individual mistake by our goalkeeper. If you're asking me, have we made progress? Can I see us getting better? Have we improved? Then clearly the answer is yes. Yes, we have improved. We have better players. The system looks like it's working slightly better. Amram, for me, needs to play more attacking. He needs to be braver. He needs to start with attacking players at wing backs. I think the way that we dominated Arsenal surprised Amram, and we saw him make the change in the second half when he brought Ahmad on for Dalot. He potentially should have started that way. Yes, the midfield is still a concern for Manchester United, and we are still linked to other midfielders, but the midfield wasn't the reason we lost the game today. In fact, the midfield played well. You could argue if the midfield was better, then we wouldn't need our number 10s to drop in as much to support them. That is definitely an argument and somewhere that we may have to analyze later on. But with regards to this match and this match alone, I think United fans can be somewhat optimistic. If this is the baseline, if this is Manchester United playing football without the cohesion yet, without the relationships forming between the players that we need, like the likes of Mbumo and Ahmad, who I believe need to form a better understanding. There's a lot of kinks to be ironed out, and we are going to improve a lot more as the season progresses. So if this is the baseline and we performed this well against an Arsenal side who are supposed to be challenging for the league, then I think United fans have reason to be optimistic. Let me know your thoughts on my tactical analysis, the breakdown, how I saw the game unfold. Give me your opinions. Please comment below, like and share the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe below for more tactical analysis, match reaction, pre-match previews, match watch-alongs, and much more, people.